Sometimes dating can feel like a minefield. You want to honor God, find the right person, and avoid heartbreak. But how do you do that? Today, we're going to have some fun, laugh at a few questions, but get real about dating the right way according to the Bible. Hello and welcome to the Promised Land Pursuit. My name is Mario Shadina, and I'm here with my wife, Emily Shadina.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. To kick off this segment on relationship red flags, we thought we'd start a little lighter. Before we dive into the deep conversation, we're going to answer some fun get-to-know-you questions about our relationship because, who doesn't love a good love story?
All right, and so in our segment one, we want to, like my wife just said, we want to give you an opportunity, kind of get to know us. So we've got some questions that we've looked at them, but we haven't really given each other the answer. So you're going to be getting the real reaction to these questions, which hopefully, hopefully they're going to be good. So, all right, here's a good one. What is something I do that always makes you laugh?
There's so many things that you do that make me laugh. One is the wheezing laughs that you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
I don't know. It's just hearing someone wheeze when they laugh cracks me up every time. But I guess if I could go back to like a memory from when we were dating, there was a time that Mario had come to visit me in Ohio, and we had to run to Walmart for something. Well, we're in the ice cream aisle looking for ice cream that we both could agree on, and we see a Girl Scout brand cookie, or a Girl Scout brand ice cream that had, I don't know if it was the Samoa.
Yeah.
Barf.
It's one of my favorites,
I hate Samoas.
I love Samoa cookies.
But,
if you like Samoas, comment in this comment section. Samoa cookies are my favorite Girl Scout cookie.
Or tell us what your favorite is. I think mine is either the shortbread or the mint chocolate. What is yours?
Samoa.
The Samoa. Okay, okay.
Samoa. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're in the aisle at Walmart looking at ice cream, and all of a sudden, we've only been dating for like a couple months, and he's just yelling, Girl Scout ice cream, Girl Scouts not included. And this is like 9:30 at night in Walmart, and someone in the back of the back of the food section at Walmart yells, "Shut up, loudmouth!" And we just lost it. And so that was good. Yes, that there's literally, I could just sit here telling stories about everything you do that makes me laugh. But
well, that's a good thing.
That's like that's the one from the depths of my memory from when we first started dating.
Yeah, that is a good one. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of pretty crazy stuff, so especially when we were dating, it was a little bit more. I was obnoxious, so
yes.
All right, here's another one. What is one thing that you didn't learn about me until after we got married?
Is that for me again?
We'll go both ways, I think, on this one. So
the thing that was new to me was that I didn't know Mario used the Rain app and slept with a fan. So we get married, and our first night together at a hotel, we're laying there, and all of a sudden he turns on this Rain app. He's got a fan blasting, and I just look over at him, and I'm like, what is that?
I love the Rain app. It's so peaceful.
Yes, but 10 years later, down the road, I am now used to the Rain app and the fan, and actually it's really hard to sleep without a fan now.
Yeah,
so
I have corrupted you.
I guess so.
Oh, that's another good one. Comment in the comment section below if you have to use a Rain app or have a fan. I cannot sleep without a fan on. I have to have some kind of fan going.
Yeah.
Like, if we're desperate, I literally look up I have a fan app on my phone as well, and it even like oscillates? Yeah, it oscillates. It makes it sound like it's oscillating. So yeah, I need that. One thing that I didn't learn about you until after we got married was my wife, Emily, is a psychopathic cleaner.
Oh, dear.
She is a clean freak. So everything, I mean, we sometimes we don't get home until like 11 o'clock at night, and then like I walk in the house and she's got the vacuum going. At 11 o'clock at night, the floor's got to be mopped once at night and once in the morning.
No,
so,
okay, I'm not that bad.
Well,
That's crazy.
There's this thing. I told her mom that she is a Molly maid, and so there's this maid service where these Molly maids is what they call them, and they're just high-profile cleaners, I guess, or something like that. And I used to call her a Molly maid.
That doesn't sound like a problem to me, though.
It's not it's not a problem, I guess, but
just something you didn't know about me.
I definitely didn't. I wasn't ready for your cleanliness. I'm pretty clean, but you're really
Next
really clean.
level.
Yes. What is an odd habit that I have? Oh my, I feel like these are better for me. I've got a lot of these
odd habits.
good ones here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, am I starting again?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay, the odd habit is that I make the bed every day. Every morning I make the bed. Well, every night when Mario gets into bed, he untucks the covers so that he can bundle up his feet in the blanket.
Hey, that is a childhood trauma thing for me.
My goodness.
I used to be afraid that a monster was going to grab my feet and pull me out of the bed.
Well.
And so I would lift up my feet and let the blanket go underneath my feet and then put my feet down so it would get me in a nice little cocoon.
Yep.
That way a monster couldn't get me.
Not in our RV either. Nope.
I know to this day I cannot sleep without doing that. So.
Yep, and it makes me crazy because every morning I have to retuck the bottom of the sheets.
Yes.
So.
Oh boy. I don't even know an odd habit that you have.
I think I'm pretty normal.
Yeah, you're so normal. There's no odd habits. Unless you know Miss Emily. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there, you know
dear.
something. Oh, your mom's going to be listening to this. Maybe she can tell us something.
Eddie,
Mom?
we're not talking to you.
Eddie Navalta. Shout out to Eddie Navalta. If you know something, Eddie, put it in the comment section. People want to know what's Miss Emily's odd habit. We have a very close relationship with our youth department. Even though we're on the road, we still keep very close tabs on everybody. We track each other still. So like on Life 360, and some of our youth, they know things about us that nobody should know. So it's interesting. So Eddie, drop us a line.
It's okay.
But okay. Okay, here we go. We have to guess on this one, which it shouldn't be too bad. But what is your favorite comfort food? So your favorite comfort food, which I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in the past, but it's pizza. You love pizza.
I love pizza.
Yeah.
There's something else I eat with pizza too.
Oh, ranch.
Oh, I do like ranch.
Everybody likes ranch.
Yes.
Can't do anything without ranch. Put ranch on everything.
Pizza and cinnamon rolls.
Oh, wow.
I love
cinnamon rolls. Are pretty good. Not gonna lie. Okay, and what's mine?
I think yours is SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. There's a couple.
SpaghettiOs.
What's the other one?
Oh, pizza rolls.
Yep.
Pierogies.
Okay. All right. Anyway, we can get off food. We can be here for a while.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Who is more likely to forget something important?
I think that's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's definitely you.
Yeah.
No, it's me, 100%. And the reason why is because not only is she a amazing cleaner, she is very much a planner, and she takes notes about absolutely everything. So she ain't gonna forget about nothing. So
try not to,
because she's got a note about it, which is actually why our camper is so wonderful on the road, because I can hardly forget anything because it always travels with us. I'll be driving down the road like, oh, did I forget? No, I got my whole house with me. So I didn't forget my belt or whatever.
Although Evelyn is picking up that forgetful gene and seems to leave stuff everywhere we go.
Uh-oh.
At grandma's house, at churches.
Yeah. Yeah, she takes after me. It's a good thing. She's a good kid. All right. Oh boy, I don't even want to ask this question because I know the answer. This is gonna be bad. Who is more likely to cry during a movie? I feel like if any pastors listen to this, they're not gonna have me in at their church.
He's a wuss.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, I'm just kidding. It's a toss-up because...
Well, it is a toss-up because you don't want to watch emotional movies.
Yeah, I don't watch sad movies.
So I will watch an emotional movie, so I will cry.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you don't full-blown, like, sob.
Well, because I hide it. Well, no.
If we weren't there, you would be sobbing.
I've made that statement before. Like,
Yes.
oh, man, if you guys weren't here, I would totally be crying right now. But no, I don't think I've ever sobbed at a movie before, ever. But I definitely tear up at some movies. I have before.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely have too.
Not that we...
But I try to avoid
Not that
them.
we watch movies.
No, that's sinful.
Yeah, we don't watch any movies.
Okay, moving on.
Yep, moving on. Who is more likely to get lost while driving?
Well, I'm a passenger princess, so...
Yeah, she doesn't drive.
I never get lost.
To be honest, like... We're living in the age of the GPS. I mean, it's been around for a while now, but you can hardly ever get lost. I mean, if my phone dies, I'm in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not good.
But
That's
I think
not good.
If the
Pastor,
phone...
don't listen to this.
Oh, no, right. If my phone died, I think I'd be able to get back to where I started.
If my phone died, I'd just find a McDonald's.
There you go.
And just eat.
ask someone?
No,
I
just lay there.
Just stay.
Bring up a pop-up tent or something. Be like, well, this is my home now.
Yeah.
So McDonald's is where it's at. Not really. I don't like McDonald's. Anyway, all right. Who is more likely to start a deep conversation late at night?
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like neither one of us, because you're tired.
Yeah.
And you just want to go to bed. And I'm not tired,
so
and I just want you to go to bed.
Oh, that's so rude.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but I don't want to start a long conversation or a deep one, especially not late at night. I don't know. Neither one of us. We're lazy.
No.
We just want to go to sleep.
At night.
Oh boy, this is easy. Who's more likely to fall asleep during a movie? 100% you. You don't even watch movies, so we'll sit there and it'll take. She does not stay.
I really try.
She does.
I try.
She will watch a movie, like we have watched it 50 times, and she'll be like, "Wow, have I ever seen this?" I'm like,
didn't know
"Oh
that
my
happened."
goodness!" It like makes me, I don't know, something inside me dies.
You know what? But I'm pretty sure I've always been that way. Now that I think about my childhood, because I used to think that somehow the movies would change after you watched them, because every time I watched it, it was different.
What? Oh
I'm
my
serious.
goodness.
Like Winnie the Pooh was my favorite, and I remember thinking that as a kid, like Evelyn's age.
What?
So I've always been that way.
See, that gives me like, all I can think of is my dad. He used to watch The Wizard of Oz, and for the longest time, he didn't know that The Wizard of Oz was in color, because he started the movie and it was in black and white. He would fall asleep and then he would wake up, and by the time he woke up, it was towards the end of the movie and it was back in black and white again. And so we're watching it one day and he walks in and he's like, "What movie is this?" And we're like, "No way.
I've never seen this version."
Yeah, he never knew. So that's crazy. Who is more likely to spend too much money?
We're different kind of spenders.
Yeah.
I'm like a slow little bit each week spender, and then he's a like
I save up
one time a month and lose your mind. So we spend the same amount.
I just save up to buy something big that I want.
Yes, but I'm like little Amazon purchase here, little Amazon purchase there.
Yeah, but then we get somewhere, Highland Hills, and they've got 48 packages inside the back room waiting for us.
I've been ordering them over several weeks, so not all at once.
Oh, all right. Here we go. What is one thing, more serious, what's one thing that you are thankful for right now?
I feel like it's so cliche, but I'm thankful for family, and I'm thankful for the husband that God has given me, and I'm thankful for the daughter that I have, and I just don't take it for granted, you know, my mom, and that I'm an auntie, and that I'm a sister. You know, I'm just thankful for family and who God has placed in my life as far as that goes.
I think for me right now, you know, things pass and you get thankful for different things more as time goes. And so, like, right now, the biggest thing for me is I'm thankful for answered prayer. I'm thankful for, like, we just recently prayed for something and then God just answered it. And it was just, it's something that not even just for me, I'm thankful that our daughter gets to see it. So I think that's one of the, like, biggest things is that I'm thankful that Evelyn gets to see God answering prayers for our family, because she's going to grow up knowing that God works. Like he can do it, and he can do amazing things, impossible things. And so I'm just thankful that she's able to see that while she's young. She can see God having his hand on our lives. So that's me. So, but let's get into a little bit more serious things. In our next segment here, we've got some advice that we would like to give. And we started thinking about this, as far as relationships go. What kind of advice would we give, to ourselves if we were looking back? And I start thinking, for me, if I was to go back and see little Mario, but Mario, not little Mario, but, Mario as a teenager growing up, what kind of advice would I give myself when it comes down to, relationships and dating? And by no means are we, at the... we don't know it all. We're learning, even as we're growing in our own marriage and relationship, but there are some things that I wish I wouldn't have done when I was younger, and it probably would have saved a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. And that's something I hope that maybe these next couple sections here can help you with. But if I was to go back and, able to talk to myself, I would say the first thing would be wait. You are not in a rush. As a young person, we often feel like we have to be in some kind of rush. I've got to find a girlfriend. I've got to find a boyfriend. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And we feel so rushed. I think we've said this in the past podcast as well. The devil likes to rush us because he wants us to make these irrational decisions, or just these decisions in haste that we end up entangling ourselves and just really messing ourselves up on different things in the world. And so my suggestion, my advice to you as a young person, is wait. You are not in a rush. There's no need to jump into this relationship, and you've got plenty of time. And if it's the right relationship, God will form that, and he won't let it fall apart. You just do what you're supposed to do, and God will take care of it. My second piece, wait, and then my second one is don't. And I'm pretty simple here.
It is simple.
Yeah, but wait and don't. And you say, what do you mean don't? I mean, don't do it. Don't get yourself into the wrong relationship. And that's something that is very easy. If you are too hasty to get into a relationship, it's very easy to get into the wrong relationship. And this is something that I really messed up with as a young person. I wasn't willing to wait, and I got into the wrong relationships. And there is a whole bunch of scars and just faults and failures of my past that you remember. It doesn't go away. And I know I'm forgiven for it. And I'm glad that God gives you that grace and that mercy and was able to just change my whole life. But the fact is, there's a lot of things that I wish I never did, and it's not going to go away. And then my last piece would be develop yourself. And so it's work on yourself. We're going to be talking about this a little bit more in depth, but the fact is this: you need to become the right person for the right person. You can't just spend your time looking, I need God to give me the right person. Well, why don't you work on being the right person for someone else?
Yeah.
And so that involves a lot of work for you personally with your walk with God, and you being the right man or woman that you need to be, so that when you meet that person, you're already being developed. And so God is working on you.
Yeah. And my advice comes from a little bit of a different place, because my testimony is different than Mario's. And so there were many books that I read as a teenager, and things, I don't know why I just had a desire to save myself. I suppose it was because of my upbringing in church and just, I don't know, my love for the Lord as a teenager. And so my advice stems more from things that I considered and that I learned as a teenager that I want to just bring out today. And, maybe if you do come from a place even where you're at today, where you have made mistakes already, these can still apply to your life today because the Lord forgives. Yeah. We still have the scars, but He forgives. We move forward. And here are some practical things that can help you where you're at. And so the first one is don't date until you're ready to consider marriage.
Yeah,
so
that's a big one.
It is, and I looked up facts and science behind it, and I won't get boring or anything, but part of your brain is not fully developed yet. We're making impulsive decisions as teenagers, and we're trying to have adult level commitments without the adult level maturity to go with it. And so delayed dating, waiting to date, equals healthier relationships in the future. So if you're not ready to choose a spouse, you're not ready to choose a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Yeah, that right there, I think that's huge, because we're living in this generation where it is, you've probably heard preachers talk about this in the past, but it is a try before you buy society that we're living in today.
Yes.
So it is very much, the world will think, honestly, I mean, there's statistics on it as well, but the world thinks, I have to have intimacy with somebody before I ever consider marrying them.
Right.
Because how am I going to know I'm going to want to stay with them? But that is the world's ideology. That is not the Christian perspective at all. Yeah. And so the important thing is to make sure that the person you're interested in is somebody that you would be willing to spend the rest of your life with, not based on those things, because those are the wrong things to look for. And that's something we're going to be talking about, is what to actually be looking for in your relationship, because the world has an idea of what you should look for, but so does God, and they differ a lot. And so that's just something extremely important to consider when looking for the right person, is make sure you get that idea of what the world wants you to look for out of your mind. And I know what it is. Some people say, I heard a preacher say it once, you find somebody with a good character and good personality and nothing else matters. And then he said, but I found most people that are like that, they have ugly wives.
Ooh.
I know, right? But,
oh,
God is going to, and I don't think that's true. God is going to give you somebody that you're attracted to as well. He's not going to give you someone that you're not attracted to. You will be attracted to the person. But the most important thing is to follow the steps that God has outlined in the Bible when looking for somebody. And the rest of the things, I believe, will fall into place.
Yeah, and the reason I suppose I'm saying not to date until you're ready to consider marriage is because the physical stuff comes up, whether it's talked about, whether
quickly.
Yes, whether you're holding hands, and then it escalates from there. And so if you're not ready for marriage and for that kind of commitment, don't date. Yeah. You're not ready to date.
Yeah, there's so much scripture that we could bring in. We're not going to have enough time to really do that, but there's so much out there with the lust of the flesh.
Yeah.
And it's the Bible says, the verse, it is better to marry than to burn. And the reason for that is, here you are, you're burning inside, you long for that person, and the fear is this: you're going to wind up making a decision that you shouldn't be making, because the Bible is 100% against being intimate before marriage.
Yeah.
And it also said it is not good for a man to touch a woman. I had a teenager once. Teenager tell me once. He said, "Well, the Bible says it's not good for a man to touch a woman. He doesn't say that it's not wrong. Like, it's not a sin." And I kind of chuckled, and I'm like, that's not really. I don't think you're really grasping what the Bible is saying, because use Bible words. What's the opposite of good? It's not bad. The opposite of good is evil. And so the Bible, God is saying, not only is it not good, but it's evil for you to be touching a woman. You need to learn how to keep your hands to yourself. And the biggest problem is, if you don't learn how to do that, you don't learn how to keep your hands to yourself, your hands wind up going places they shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
You might want to start with a handhold, but the next thing you know, it always goes farther than you wanted it to go. And we lie to ourselves and we think, oh, I'm strong enough to handle it. We can just hold hands. It won't be a big deal. It's a big deal every single time.
And it's not possible because that's not the way God designed us.
Yeah.
To withhold from it.
Yeah.
So this advice is boundary advice. It's helping you form a boundary in your own life to protect you down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's prevention.
Yes.
Preventative medicine. And if you take it and you apply it to your life, I guarantee you will have a lot less regrets when going into the next relationship. Because here's a huge thing. My wife, her testimony, I met her when she was, how old were you? 18 years old. At 18 years old, my wife had never held a guy's hand. She never had a boyfriend. And for me, that was unreal. I remember when you told me that, and I'm thinking, you're a liar. Like, there's no way that somebody that looks as good as you has never had a boyfriend and has never even held a guy's. That's honestly what my thought process was. Like, there's just no way. But she told me over Skype when we were dating, she said, no, I haven't, and I've been waiting for the right person, for God to give me the right person. And I'm like, whoa. Because even for me, growing up in a pastor's home, I wish that could have been my testimony, but I messed up. I messed so many things up. But today I look back and I'm thinking, I am so blessed, and it is amazing to me that God allowed me to have the wife that I have now, somebody that going down the aisle, somebody that at our wedding was pure, whereas I wasn't, and I had messed up. And so that just is God's grace, and I'm so thankful for that. Yeah. But that doesn't have to be your testimony. You can be clean. You can be pure before the Lord, and you can stay that way, even into your teens and into the older years. And my wife, honestly, you're proof of that. An 18-year-old, 19-year-old can be clean, can be pure, and wait for the right person.
Yeah, but honestly, I do understand the battle as a teenager of, feeling left out. You're not in a relationship and you just want to feel like you belong. And so this is the one opportunity where I want you to be selfish, and I want you to think of yourself, because what you do during these teen years are not just going to affect you now. Yep. They're going to affect you long term. They're going to affect your marriage, and they're going to affect you down the road. And so be selfish. Consider yourself, protect yourself, and set up boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, this gets into the second point of don't be physical, but I feel like we have really covered that. And so the Bible says to flee fornication, and then the intimacy, the kissing, and even the smallest thing, the hand holding even, it's not just physical, but it's emotional, And so you have to protect yourself, and purity is how you protect yourself.
Well, there's another part to that. I need those of you out there to understand this, and this is something that even I had to come to the realization of. I did mess up, but I want you to understand that God still does offer forgiveness.
Yeah.
That is not a license to go and do that. You still have to personally deal with it.
Yes.
But I was able to overcome a lot of the turmoil that I was going through in my life because I know that God forgave me for it. And basically, there's a verse that talks about the Lord giving the king a new heart. And I took that verse for myself and said, I've given my heart to a whole bunch of things, but I want God to give me a new heart. And I feel like he did, and he cleaned me up, and he forgave me. And so I want to encourage you with that. Maybe you have made some mistakes, but I'm telling you, if you're a young person right now and you say, well, Brother Mario, Miss Emily, I've already messed up, just stop, ask God for forgiveness, and quit, and be pure from here on out.
Yes.
And maintain your cleanliness before the Lord until you do meet that person that God wants you to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah. And just to wrap up that idea, The Bible says wait because it's holy and right.
Yeah.
Science will tell you wait because it protects your mind and your emotions.
Yeah.
And statistics will tell you wait because it leads to stronger, more stable marriages.
Yeah, that's a proven scientific statistic. You could find it on the internet right now. There are more divorces in marriage with people that have had intimacy before marriage.
Right.
And those that have waited until they got married, their marriages are proven to be more stable. That is not our statistic. You can find it right on. You can Google it yourself.
Yep. So God isn't trying to keep something from you. He is trying to protect something for you.
Yeah.
Because that bonds a marriage, that bonds a relationship. So what culture treats casually, God treats as powerful.
Yeah.
And anything powerful needs the right boundary. And that boundary is marriage.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. And then the last piece of advice is don't go into a relationship thinking you can change the other person.
Yeah, we've heard that so many times.
That is a big one.
I can change him, or I can change her.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I mean, that leads us kind of into the first major thing with being unequally yoked. You know, you think you can change them, but the problem with it is if that's how you're going in, then you're probably unequally yoked. You know, that happens a lot, you know, with people, you know, well, they're not a Christian, but I can change them. You know, I'll get them to church, and I'll do this, and I can make them a Christian. No, that's not how it works.
A lot of times they end up dragging you out of church then down the road.
Yeah, it's easy. And it's an old adage, but it's true. You know, the rotten apple spoils the bunch, and it does. And it's something that you have to be extremely careful for. You know, 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness?" If someone is not genuinely following Christ, it will eventually create a major conflict in your relationship. And there's so many people out there that are trying to do this. There's young people that are going to church, and they're godly young people. They're trying to live for God, trying to live for Christ. But then that person at work, that girl at work, or that guy at work that's attracted to them, and they go and they see them every day at work, but that person's not a Christian. And before you know it, you're starting to get into a relationship with that person, and they don't believe like you. They're not living a good Christian life like you are. And you're not going to change that person. And the best thing for you to do is, if you are interested in that person, is really just get them into church. You know, it doesn't mean that, I mean, I remember a young person said this to me before. He knew that his relationship with this girl was improper. He was having the wrong relationship with them. And we were standing on a porch and we were talking, and he said, "Well, I don't want to break up with her. I love her." And I said, "Oh, you love her?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, I love her. I really love her, Brother Mario." And I said, "Let me ask you one question. Is she saved?" And he said, "Oh, well, I don't know if I've really gotten that far, like if I've really asked her that." And I looked at him and I said, "You mean to tell me you love her, but if she died today, she could go to hell and you don't know? You've never even talked to her about it? That doesn't sound like somebody that you love." And it hit him like a freight train, and he realized, he was like, whoa, here I am saying I love somebody when I have not even witnessed to them. And that happens so quickly and so easily to us. We fall in love with things in this world. We fall in love with girl or guy, and we're not looking at it from God's perspective. That person that you supposedly love, are they going to spend eternity in hell? Have you started a relationship off with even asking them if they're on their way to heaven? So I think that's just a huge thing with being unequally yoked. I think of Samson. You know, Samson was looking for a girl, and he told his dad, he said, "Hey, go get that girl for me." And his dad says this, he says, "Why would you want her? Why wouldn't you," and of course I'm paraphrasing, but why wouldn't you want somebody from our tribe? Why wouldn't you want somebody from our tribe? Why are you going outside of what we believe to find somebody? Why wouldn't you stick with what we believe? And that's the same thing in the Christian realm. Why are you going out into the world to look for a mate? Why wouldn't you wait and see if God will bring you somebody that's already living for him?
Yeah.
So I want you to understand there are some things you should look for some red flags that you need to be aware of so that you don't get yourself messed up. And so these are just something that can help you. And that first one is being unequally yoked in 2 Corinthians 6:14. If you want to, you can look that one up. Amos 3:3 says that can two walk together except they be agreed. You know, you cannot spend your life and you can't walk together in a relationship with somebody if you guys aren't even in agreement. That's not to say that disagreements don't come up in a relationship, but you shouldn't be starting them off that way.
Right. Yeah.
So the next one is fake Christianity. Now, this one I think is huge, and this is a huge problem because it's in our church. So here it is, you meet that special somebody that you're attracted to, and they go to church. And a lot of the times we think, oh, well, you know, they're in church, they must love God. Well, no, that's not true. Fake Christianity is out there. It's all through the Bible as well. When somebody says that they love God, but their life does not show it. And true faith produces fruit.
Yeah.
Matthew 7:16 says, ye shall know them by their fruits. 1 John 2:4 says, he that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar. And the truth is not in him. And so the thing is this, anybody can say the right things. You know, you watch it long enough. I grew up in a Christian home, a preacher's home. I knew the right things to say. I knew how to make people think that I was a good, godly Christian. I could get up and sing a special in church and look like I'm such a great Christian, but in reality, I was going to beach parties at night and drinking and smoking and doing all kind of things. I was not a good Christian. And so it's very easy for us to put a front on and make people think that we're good, godly people when really we're not. And this doesn't just go for young people. This is adults alike. And I think one of the biggest problems in the world right now is fake Christianity, because we've got young people looking at adults and they're Christians in church, but they're not at home. So they see fake Christianity. And that's the same thing. And they're following them and they think, oh, well, I guess I can be spiritual at church and then live in the world when I'm at home. But you can't do that. Joshua said, choose you this day whom you will serve.
Yeah.
So you have to make a choice who you're going to serve. But it's hard when you get into a relationship because you need to find out who that person is, and they need to line up both in church and out of church with what they believe. Because if they're fake, that's not someone you want. If they're saying they love God in church and then the next minute outside of church, they want to do things that you know you're not supposed to do, run. Get out of that relationship. That's not the right relationship for you. And it's going to bring you down. And you stay spiritual and you try to stay with the Lord, and maybe that person will come around and say, you know, I'm not living the way I should. And I do want to change some things and try to get more spiritual and more into church and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So anyone can say the right things, but their actions will reveal what they truly, truly believe. So the next one is uncontrolled anger. Anger that is not controlled leads to trouble. Proverbs chapter 22, verses 24 through 25. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. If someone regularly is exploding in anger, you probably want to stay away from that person. Yeah. We know people that have had relationship problems with people like that. And you know, one of the biggest things is love blinds us. Just like Samson, it blinded him. Samson and Delilah, here she is asking him to reveal his strength, and then every night she's doing the exact thing that he said.
No, that's crazy.
But yet he stayed in a relationship and he kept telling her more things, but he just kept on telling her, it's this, and it's this, and it's this. And then finally, she cut his hair, and God said, you know what? That's enough. And his strength was gone from him. And so love was blinding him. And so somebody that regularly explodes in a relationship, we have the tendency to be like, oh, well, you know, he'll calm down. You know, he's really a good person. It was just, you know, an event, you know, it just happened. And so we overlook some things, but I want you to know that can that can become very dangerous. And so if somebody is just has anger issues right off the bat, it may not be somebody that you want to be around. And God can take away those problems. I'm not going to say that God can't, but that's exactly what it is. God needs to, and that person needs to get in the right relationship with the Lord, and God can help anybody with anger issues. Dishonesty is another one. So, of course, we all deal with these things in a small sense as well, but relationships have to be built on truth. If they're lying right off the bat, it's not a good way to start a relationship if you're catching them in lies. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25 says, "Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are all members one of another." So if somebody's lying, even about small things early in a relationship, that's a major red flag, and it's just going to get bigger later on in the relationship. A lie is a lie, and it's going to only get worse, especially if they're starting off like that. This next one is bad character. Character is revealed in our everyday behavior. So Luke chapter 6, verse 31 says, "And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise." Philippians 2:3, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each one esteem other better than themselves." So having bad character, here's something interesting. You want to know if that boy or that girl is a good catch? Look at how they treat others. Look how they treat the waiter at the restaurant. Look how they're treating their family members, strangers. Or here's a huge one, people that can't benefit them. The person's not going to benefit them in any way. Are they still treating them good? Because sometimes we only treat people good if we're going to get something from them. And that's not good. And that, honestly, look at your relationship. Some of you are in a relationship right now, and you're always angry with your spouse unless they're giving you something. You're only angry with your boyfriend when he's not giving you what you want. He's angry with you when he's not getting what he wants. But the moment they get what they want, all of a sudden everything's good. That's bad character. And it's something that you need to watch out for in a relationship. Unteachable. Somebody that's unteachable, or they refuse correction. So wise people learn how to accept correction. They know how to accept correction. That's wisdom. Proverbs 12:1, "Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish." If somebody cannot admit when they're wrong, that creates a serious problem in a relationship, in a marriage, in friendships, and maybe you have that person in your life, maybe even just a friend, they can never admit when they're wrong. I've got people in my life like that. I try to actually keep them at an arm's length, but they can't admit that they're wrong. I know some folks in my life that I don't know if I've ever heard them say that they're wrong. They've never apologized for being wrong. That's a toxic relationship. That's somebody who cannot learn. That is somebody that cannot accept correction, and it is unwise. And so we're not going to spend a ton of time. Controlling and manipulative. So love should be patient and kind, not controlling. So 1 Corinthians 3:4-5 says, "Charity suffereth long and is kind. It envieth not. It vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. It doesn't behave itself unseemly, seeketh not its own, it's not easily provoked, it thinketh no evil." 1 Corinthians 13:4-5, if you want to look up that verse. But the idea is true love, it respects the other person. It doesn't manipulate them or control them. That kind of goes back to that whole, well, I can change them. Well, that's not what your job is. Your job is not to change or to manipulate that person or to control them. Your job is, if that person does need to change, to give that to God and allow God to change that person. Or if there's something that is sinful going on, then you should be able to correct that situation. And if they're wise, just like the one before, they'll accept the correction. So these all kind of work hand in hand if you look at them. Then there's spiritual leadership, and maturity is important in a relationship. So a healthy relationship grows toward God together. Colossians 3:16, let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. A godly relationship, it should encourage both people to grow closer to Christ. So you want to know if you're in the right kind of relationship? It's when you're encouraged to do something that glorifies God. Not encouraged to do something that doesn't, but something that does and glorify God. It does. Encouraging one another to go soul winning together and actually witness to people. If you find it hard in your relationship to bring up spiritual things, is it because you're not doing things that you're supposed to be doing when you're behind closed doors? I had one piece of advice that was given me, which I wish I would have taken into account, and it was this: never be alone with a girl. Never. Doesn't matter if you think you can handle it or if you're strong enough. Don't be alone. Don't go over to her house or her come over to your house and then you two are hanging out in the bedroom. I guarantee you it will end in a disaster. It's only a matter of time. And so you gotta look at that kind of stuff and do what is right. And it will encourage you both to grow together in your relationship for the Lord.
These red flags are important because the Bible says that wisdom looks ahead. Proverbs 22:3 says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And so we are helping kind of bring those red flags out so that you can evaluate your own life and your own relationships, or maybe you're not dating yet, but you want to date. And so what to look for the right person. So if you see red flags, I kind of just want to go over what to do. So maybe you're in a relationship, you notice there may be a couple red flags in that relationship, but what do you do now?
Yeah.
I mean, you see them, but what do you do?
Yeah.
So
it's hard too.
It is hard.
Yep.
And so number one is don't ignore them. Obviously, we're going to recognize them as warnings.
Yep.
So I just read that verse, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So if you do ignore them, you don't want to be that foolish man that's punished later. So red flags are not cute quirks. They're warnings.
Yeah.
And wisdom doesn't overlook problems. It responds to them.
Don't just laugh it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then number two is don't excuse or justify bad behavior. So Isaiah 5 verse 20 says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil. So be careful not to say, well, it's not that bad, or they'll change, they just need to mature, or I'm just overreacting. Calling wrong behavior okay leads to deeper harm.
Yeah, and if you do something, I've had this in the past, if you do something or she does something and that's the response, oh, you're just overreacting.
Yeah.
You might want to really look at what you're supposedly overreacting about, because it may be sin. Sometimes it's just overlooked, and we try to excuse our sin by saying it's some kind of overreaction. And so just be very careful with that.
Yeah. Number 3 is guard your heart immediately. Proverbs 4 verse 23 says, keep thy heart with all diligence. So slowing the relationship down, creating emotional distance, setting clear boundaries. The longer that you stay attached, the harder it is to think clearly. I mean, you get so involved with a person that sometimes that messes up your train of thought. Number 4 is seek wise counsel. So, you see these red flags and you want to do something about it, but what do? Well, Proverbs 11 verse 14 says, in the multitude of counselors there is safety. So bring those red flags to your parents or to a youth pastor or a pastor, or just a mature, godly mentor, someone whose relationship is godly and you look up to them and you want advice from them.
Yeah.
If multiple wise people are also concerned, pay attention to that. Don't overlook that wise counsel.
Yeah, I think most of the problems in relationships right now, you could probably sit there and pinpoint what they are. So do that. Don't just overlook it, but find out if it's a real problem, and don't be afraid to bring it to somebody.
And you know what? I'm sure that many of you listening have a youth pastor or a parent or someone that you can talk with. But I also know that sometimes it's hard and it's embarrassing. And especially if there's personal things that you want to bring up. And so if there's someone you need to talk to, Mario and I are available.
Yeah.
You know, the men, talk to Mario, open up your hearts. And you ladies, if you need help with something, I would be happy. This is my ministry. My ministry is young people, young ladies. And so if there's something that you need clarity on or Bible information, you know, if I can help you, I would love to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. And it's hard because sometimes the relationship that you have with so-and-so may be in the same youth department. And so you're afraid of, talking about it, because your youth pastor is their youth pastor, your pastor is that person's pastor. You're in the same church. And so sometimes it's hard to come forward about some of these problems because you're afraid of what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Number 5 is address it honestly if it's appropriate. Ephesians 4 verse 25 says, "Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth." So you may need to have a direct, honest conversation with your girlfriend or your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Not emotional, not accusatory, but truthful. You don't want to start off with, "You always do this." I've heard enough,
Oh, boy.
or I've read enough marriage books to know you don't start off accusing them, but rather, I feel this way.
Oh boy.
So their response will reveal a lot. Do they have humility? That's a good sign. Or are they defensive and angry? And that is definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
And then another can of worms. So another response that they may give is more of like a narcissistic response. And so as we've been working with youth over the past couple years even, narcissism seems to be brought up more.
Yeah.
And so a response from someone that says, you're making that up, or I never said that. And so they have denial that it never actually happened and you're crazy, you know? So that would not be a good response. Or, the gaslighting response of you're just overreacting, you're too sensitive, or you always twist things. And then that makes you start questioning your memory or your feelings or your judgment. That's a red flag when they make you feel confused or like you did something wrong.
Bringing in that manipulation again.
Yes. Another response of playing the victim. They flip the situation so they look like they are the ones that are hurt.
Yeah.
And that is a big one. And so they say, I can't believe you think that about me. Or after everything I've done for you. And they shift their focus away from behavior to your hurtfulness.
Yeah. And it's hard because you have to define the truth, because it may be that they are the victim. There has been some things that have happened. Yeah. So you got to make sure that you're not flying off the handle yourself and saying, "Oh, you're just a narcissist."
Right.
Like you've got to find that, you got to find the truth. It's got to be something that you take slowly and try to really make sure that you're making the right decisions. The Bible says, seeing that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. That's being aware of what's going on around you. So make sure that you're considering all the story, you're putting it all into play, and care about their feelings as well. But you also need to have that guard because narcissism is huge.
Yeah.
And it happens to a lot of people. There's so many people that are narcissistic don't even realize that they are.
And then the last thing might be a temporary charm. And I just feel like I've heard that this one can be so common as well. And they may say all the right things. You talk to them and you bring up your feelings and all of that. And then they say, I'll do better. I didn't realize, I'm sorry. But then there's no consistent change and the pattern repeats. And it's almost like they just know that if they talk kindly like that they can get what they want from you. But that is a red flag if there's not actual change. And so I'm saying all of this to say that these are things to look for and things to do, but also wrap it up with that wise counsel and talk with someone about what you have found.
Like I said before, you make sure, like you want You want to make sure that you don't just take our advice and say, oh, well, obviously this person's a narcissist, obviously this person's this, and I need to just, destroy them or destroy this relationship. Consider everything, talk with somebody about it, talk with your youth leader, talk with your pastor, and find out, is this relationship right? Am I being manipulated? Your pastor is there to talk in confidence with you. You should be able to bring things up to your pastor and tell your pastor what's going on, or your pastor's wife what's going on, and they can talk with you in confidence and try to give you godly counsel in order to help you. So make sure that you take advantage of those things. Finding the right person is not just about your chemistry and your attraction. The Bible teaches us that character matters. Paying attention to those red flags, they can protect you from a lot of pain. And looking for godly character can help you find somebody who will truly walk with you through your life and draw you closer to God as well. The relationship is like this. They say it for marriages. It's like a triangle. On one corner is you, on the other corner is your spouse, and then at the top of the triangle is God. And you're both moving up together towards Christ. And that's exactly how your friendships should be. That's exactly how your relationship should be with that boyfriend or girlfriend. And that's exactly how your marriage is supposed to be. You're both supposed to be working together and getting closer to God, and you can help each other do that, and that is the way that God designed it to be. So for our next podcast coming up, we're going to talk about the green flags. So this whole podcast was mainly about the red flags, but then we're going to talk about those green flags and some things to look for in the relationship, and then questions for you to be asking yourself personally, so that you're not making mistakes in your own life. I think I mentioned this in the very beginning. You don't just want to look for that godly person for you, but you want to be that godly person for somebody else. And so that's huge, and I hope that it'll be a blessing to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, if you've enjoyed these podcasts, I want you to jump into that comment section and say hi. We like it when people say hi. And as always, have a wonderful life.